J-Mac, this was a topic that you were very intrigued by, looking at the backfield that the Chicago Bears now have. They went in the draft, grab another running back. We already had 3 on the roster when we got here. We currently also have a fullback on the roster as well. J-Mac, you're wondering, is the backfield now too crowded? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of backs in that running back room now. And, I've been a part of rooms where we had a lot of backs, especially going into OTAs and mini camps in the offseason. You're going to stockpile talent. And, obviously the way you play is going to determine who's going to be that lead dog. And nowadays, you're going to have 2 backs. It's going to be a 2-back system. When I played, it was majority of 1 back getting all the carries. So you look at it now, you look at Herbert. I think, Khalil Herbert is going to be the number 1. I think Deontay Foreman, he's on a 1-year prove-it deal. I think he'll be the 2. Roschon Johnson, they picked up from the University of Texas. Obviously, he was down there with Bijan Robinson, the first-round draft pick for the Atlanta Falcons. And a lot of people say, Roschon Johnson, they say he wasn't Bijan Robinson's backup. They say he played alongside Bijan Robinson because he's that talented. And I'll just stick with Roschon for a little bit. The thing that I took away from him is, I listened to Poe's comments on what he thought about Roschon and what made him intrigued and why he was shocked that Roschon was still there in the 4th round. The main thing that he said, the thing that stuck with me the most, Pat, is he talked about his pass protection, right? Being able to pass protect, being a physical pass protector. And for a young back in this league, the way to earn yourself playing time, the way to earn yourself time on that football field is being solid in the pass protection. One, you got to know who you're protecting. You got to know what linebacker you're blocking, or if safety's coming down, what safety you may have to pick up based upon the protection that's called in the huddle. But at the same time, physically, you got to be able to execute that. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times these linebackers, they may be bigger than you. You may have to chip on a DN. He's going to be bigger than you. If you can get that done and you can show the physicality to be able to handle that skill, well, then you have an opportunity to earn playing time. You're not to mention that he's a big back. He's got speed. You can catch the ball at the backfield. So I think the Bears, when they saw him there, in the 4th round, they were shocked because based upon his skill set, they figured he would have been gone. And I think another quality that Roschon has is, playing alongside Bijan Robinson is he didn't get a lot of carries. So there's not a lot of mileage on them tires. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really excited about him joining this backfield. Obviously, Travis Homer is a guy they brought in on a 2-year deal. And then Tristan Ebner was a 6th-round draft pick last year who didn't really get an opportunity. He didn't really – when he got it, he didn't really wow anybody. So, I look at this backfield, look at those guys that I mentioned, right? And I can see the Bears keeping 4 running backs, all right? So I think it's going to be a battle between, Travis Homer and Tristan Ebner. And I think whoever plays out of those 2 guys, whoever's the better special teams player, I think will earn a spot on the roster. I think obviously – Travis Homer has more experience, but Tristan Ebner, he's got to be solid in the return game. He's got to have a stellar preseason. And, I think between those 2 is going to be a battle. So I'm excited. I'm also excited about, Deontay Foreman. I think that, I don't think he gets enough credit. And when you look at what he's done, what he did last year, his first real opportunity to be the lead back there down in Carolina, he almost ran for 1,000 yards. And look out through his entire career, he averages 4 yards a carry. He's a big back, so I can see him doing more of the inside running in between the tackles. Khalil Herbert's a back that really excels running the outside zone. He shows good patience running outside zone. He has the ability to make that vertical cut, to stick his foot and get up, get north and south. But he also has the speed to take it the distance. So, I think between Khalil and Deontay, splitting carries, you're mixing a little Roschon Johnson, get his feet wet. And I think we're going to be really solid in the backfield. But yeah, it's a crowded backfield, and I look forward to seeing, Homer and Tristan Ebner battle out for that 4th spot.
I really think Roschon is going to be – like you said, right, his way to get playing time is the pass block.
Mm-hmm.
And Khalil, he just doesn't excel at that. I think Khalil's an excellent runner. I think he's a speed back. I think he's a guy that can give you that breakaway speed, but he wasn't good in the pass block. I thought Homer was a guy that was going to come in and you feel like, okay, I know what he is in the pass block. Foreman, kind of the same thing. I feel like Foreman and Herbert kind of have the same issue where like excellent runners, not as good pass blockers. I think Roschon Johnson might see a ton of time this season. Now, early on, right, probably not. And it's going to depend on what the offensive line does. But to me, right, like having so many backs here is really, it feels like to me to see, okay, what style of run do we want to have on this team? Because you literally have every style of running back on this team right now. Treston Ebner, a little bit of a pass catcher, kind of more like you said, wasn't a wow guy, but like Flus literally had, or I should say Getsy literally has pick of the litter on whatever he wants to run. And I mean, what kind of style do you see them running? Do you see them running like a twin running back in the backfield where you got both of them out there? Do you like what kind of style do you see them running that doesn't just telegraph the play? Because if I see Khalil Herbert in there, I know he can't pass block. I'm like, okay, they're probably running the football.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, them picking up, like you said, Roschon is a guy that can do a little bit of everything. Right? Yeah. He's good on the perimeter. He's good running the ball between the tackles, but he's also effective in the passing game. But he has the ability to be an elite pass blocker in this league. And yeah, Khalil Herbert, he struggled in that aspect last year. You know, a lot of times we saw him getting beat by a linebacker. A lot of times we saw him kind of confusing protection. You know, and when you look at, you know, those guys, you know, not Flus, but Getsy. I think each one of these guys, right, they have to show the ability, right, to be able to run whatever Getsy's calling. So Getsy's bread and butter, our run scheme is the outside zone. Yeah. So I think D'Onta Foreman's more of an inside zone runner, more of a gap scheme runner in terms of running power and things in between the tackles. But like you said, you don't want to telegraph the play. You don't want to give the defense any tips or any keys. So when they see, you know, D'Onta Foreman in there, they say, okay, it's going in between the tackles. So D'Onta Foreman has to show the ability to be able to run outside zone, to be able to stretch and make that vertical cut. But also Khalil Herbert has to show the ability that he can be effective running in between the tackles. You know, like, I'm not going to say like a Dave Montgomery because there's only one. I was a huge Dave Montgomery fan. You know, he ran with passion. He ran with heart and soul. But Khalil Herbert has to show that ability that he can run in between the tackles with toughness. And, you know, I think Roschon Johnson is a guy that can do a little bit of both naturally. I think he's a big back, but I think he can run. You know, he can run like a smaller back if he needs to, get to the outside, showing speed. He can be effective in the passing game. So I think that's why, you know, Poles was so excited when he saw a Roschon Johnson there in the fourth round. He said, hey, you know what? Here's a big back that can do everything. He can do what D'Onta Foreman can do in between the tackles, but he also can be effective running out on the perimeter and hit the home run like a Khalil Herbert. So I think that's why Roschon Johnson is Chicago Bear right now.